It is a privilege to be meeting on the lands of the Whadjuk people of the Nyungar Nation on the banks of the Kerry-Ann, our beautiful river. So to commence, please join me in welcoming Kerry-Ann Winmar to the podium so that we can pay our respects to the first custodians and acknowledge their ongoing connection to our beautiful country. Kerry-Ann is a Whadjuk yoga owner and company director of Aboriginal cultural tourism business, Nyungar Tours. She's also an executive director of Whadjuk Aboriginal Corporation and is involved in the state's GSWA for the Nyungar people. She's also a mother and a grandmother. Please join me in welcoming Kerry-Ann.
Take your lanyard off because it's knocking against the microphone. Jirpin, Nunak, Jinangin, Kaya Wanji, Nija, Nunga Buja, Kurling Dapakan, Nija, Wabadak, Whadjuk, Buja. First and foremost, I pay my respects to the First Nations people from this area, the Nyungar people. Our Nyungar people and Torres Strait Islander people have always occupied this part of, in Australia. They were the first midwives, they were the first explorers, they were the first navigators, they were the first engineers, they were the first miners, they were the first farmers, they were the first botanists, they were the first scientists, they were the first diplomats, the first astronomers and the first artists on the country. I like the word artist because, as you would know, that gives us evidence to say of how long Aboriginal people have been here. Anthropologists and archaeologists love to look at all of these remains as it is. The Whadjuk-speaking people of the Nyungar Nation have thrived over centuries through utilising their natural resources and by understanding the importance of caring for country. The chromosomes that make up our genetic fibres carries us 14 generations before us. They have strong knowledge, they have strong wisdom, and they have strong lore systems. There are many stories that's been passed down to us, which I will share with you shortly, a short story, but Nyungar people know their seasons. Right now we're in Camberang, so they moved around their country within a 6-season cycle, so it is still part of spring coming into summer. The Whadjuk-speaking people would know what was edible and what wasn't, what was happening out in the country that would be appropriate to eat. So there was medicines, there was food, and there was all these requirements that they understood because of all of this grew in that seasonal time. And we understand about certain seasons ourselves. You know, the grazing of animals such as kangaroo, emu, and many other birds came out at a particular time that, they were in season, they were probably fat, they were good to eat, and it was, at that time that we would actually gather those and collect or hunt certain animals. And like I said before, and I shared with years of age, but they proved they had cultural and traditional rights, and this is virtually why I stand and speak for my people. There are 14 different clans that make up the Nyungar Nation in the southwest of Western Australia. Each one is named for its specific areas from where they come from. The Nyungar Nation extends from here, Boorloo on Whadjuk country, and to Ewart in the north, that is where Moora is in the north, and east to the Balladong in the wheat belt, and as far as Menang in Albany. So it's spread right across these 14 different clans, and the Nyungar people understand, and they would work amongst themselves. They would travel these biddy tracks or around their community. The knowledge I hold has been passed down to me from my Gabralis, my grandmothers, my Morans, my grandfathers. As a Whadjuk-speaking traditional owner of Boorloo region, I would like to welcome you all here today with, what's it called? GSW. So anyway, I welcome everybody here. It is important because we need to know which countries we're operating on, and it's important, and I hope to, have some conversation with many people in Noongar country as well because of the Indigenous Land Use Agreement. But our people had story, they had song and they had dance, and they had all of this a long time before colonisation. There never was a name Australia, there never was a name Aboriginal, and there never was that. They had their own traditional tongue, they had their own traditional language. They were the First Nations of this land. And a lot of people identify, and even before any maps were created, they were the people of the Southland. And my people believe that, and this is the way I was brought up, that this was the great Southland of the Holy Spirit. So this is why my people have told me that our spirit existed here a long time before colonisation. There's a story that was passed down to me from my grandmother's. 65 years of age. I could never pick up this book and read it. I had to read many other different books. And these stories were told to me from my grandmothers, my grandfathers. And it goes like this here. Kura kura nija bawangari Muljal York. This is a sad story of long ago of Muljal York, the Christmas tree woman. Muljal York was a very beautiful Noongar woman with lovely long golden shiny hair. Her husband and her family loved her very much because she was so beautiful and kind. Muljal York always helped her family and all the people she cared about. Muljal York was always busy. She gathered food and cooked and cared for her family. Nyorndich Bao Mindich Winyan Muljal York. Sadly, Muljal York became very sick and she was dying. Nyorn Winyan Muljal York Norch Winyan Muljal York. As she lay there, the people were crying and calling her name. Muljal York, she heard their sorrow. She called to them, I will come back and visit you again. Today, and right this very hour, the beautiful flowers of the Nutsia floribundra is blooming. And so this is where we know that it's exciting time, where the Muljal York spirit will visit us with the golden flowers of that Nutsia floribundra, of that Christmas tree, shining like golden rays of sunshine. You know, when Noongar people see the Muljal tree and the flowers, they are very happy and they have an overwhelming feeling of joy from the beautiful Muljal York spirit. You know, Noongar people never break the flowers or the branches of the Muljal because they want the spirit of the Muljal to visit them again. So that to me and my people is a very important story because that tells us of that season and what's happening. So the blooming of these beautiful flowers are coming out, and it's also a sacred tree and it's a very important tree, especially to the women, because that gives us the indication that there's good medicine there and everything good is going to be happening. So I say to everybody in this room, welcome to Whadjuk country. Thank you.